No, it's all good. And you? How's everything going with you?
Good, yeah. What time is it there?
It's 6 o'clock.
Oh.
6 o'clock, so the sun is just setting now. So, yeah, at least it's not too bad. 8 o'clock.
Yeah, and you have you've had your full day. You're just getting started with
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. Can you hear me?
It's going to take a lot of time sometimes. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm sure you can, right?
Sorry, say that again?
You can hear me though, right?
There's a bit of a lag.
Okay, so yeah, we'll just keep on going and we'll see how it goes. Otherwise, how's everything going on your end? Is it okay?
Yeah, everything's going well. Just starting the day.
Same old. Yeah, I finished the copy editing for the book. So yeah, now it's just one of those things where we just trying to get into the work and finish off the final part and the covers and everything else. But at least the writing part is done, so most of the work. And that's most of the stuff that we've been doing. So at least, yeah, we'll just have to see how that goes. Yeah. But other than that, we've got quite a lot of things that are going to be interesting in the next few months.
Okay.
We've got a lot of different things that are going to be happening in terms of just promotional stuff, a lot of articles, and a lot of different maybe engagements. We were able to get a global group to come in and maybe help us out with some of the which is interesting because that's a big player in terms of publishing. So yeah, they could just help us to read the manuscript, and so I think it's going well. Next few months, it's going well. From where we left, I'm sure we're going to enjoy ourselves by May.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, on that note, why don't you
Definitely.
go ahead and tell us a little bit about who you are, what inspired you to write your book, and then tell us a little bit more about your book in general. I mean, I know, but just for everyone else.
Yeah, okay. So what inspired me to write my book, right, was, so if you look at global, the circumstances right now in the workplace, for young people, for people who are mid-career, etc., for the last 12 years, since 2008, with the financial crisis, there's been a sense of resignation, right, that many people have felt, right? So with regards to, and this has been as a result of so you have a situation where most of the leaders that you work with, most of the people that are entrusted with your care and to help you to have effective outcomes in any space, generally might not have had the same level of trust because they are over-leaning to look at profits as opposed to trying to look at the whole holistic, right? So because of that consistent and shape of profit that's driven by data analysis and driven by an overly metric-based system, which doesn't really focus on what we as individuals are, which are very emotional beings that are extremely volatile sometimes, beings that need tender love and care, beings that need understanding, and there's been sort of a lack of a wanting to sort of engage between a workforce and their leadership because of that overly capitalistic, so to say, and maybe commerce or even in public sector. So what that has caused, right, is a lack of trust between people, right? And what the art of decisive leadership basically focuses on, right, is something that veers away from that quantitative, so numbers, profit, quarterly income statements, sort of a mindset to success, and it focuses more on is more quantitative, so traits in character and principles crucial to decisive outcome, right? In any space that you can care to name, right? So from the research that I've done, I was able to go back to the era from which we get most of the principles that many states around the world holds dear. The era of enlightenment, and I was able to get 9 principles that have worked over the last 400 years in both times of peace and war that are vital to decisive outcomes abounding, right? So that's basically what most of my book is about, right? That's the gist of it. Principles and character traits that support the individual to uphold those kind of principles, right? So it could be belief, it could be health, it could be attention to detail, perception, unity of purpose, first impressions, everything that's both personal and individual. Keep the trust, keep the faith, and have success that is sustainable, not just success that is maybe for a short period of time and can just veer away. That's mostly the gist of it.
Yeah, so it sounds like you started to notice that before employees were more viewed as kind of what can you do for us, kind of seen as like a pawn, like a robot. And we're human. We have emotions. We have needs. We're not as... I mean, there's some pattern of predictability, but even with that, we're so unique and so different that it's kind of hard to just say, like, just do this without considering, oh, that's a human that's in front of me. And, there are going to be other factors that are always kind of weighing in. And so it sounds like you took this opportunity to write a book to really showcase, okay, so how do we prioritize the human? Yes, obviously the work, because it's there for a reason, and how do we see how we can prioritize and see the human and create these long-lasting bonds that are actually effective?
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, everything always works together, right? Because that's the thing, like the quantitative, people don't understand, is just a measurement of everything else. That, like, for example, the stock exchange, right? It's just human transactions and actions, right? So we're just trying to measure it. So it can't be the main, that's not what you should be looking at, right? And that's the thing now with most of that's why there's been that backlash and sort of that fight, whether it's in politics, whether it's in business, whether even now in diplomacy between people, right? Because in the end of the day, you've got to know and understand how to judge that person, right? And how to be able to nicely show that wisdom that people have and your wisdom on people and how to deal with them. Because and that's what the art of decisive leadership focuses on primarily. So a lot of people, for example, the leader that I focused on a lot, if you looked at, was Napoleon Bonaparte, right? He was obviously in an era very similar to ours, where you have growth and inequality, where you have certain issues where people are feeling a sense of oppression, and there was almost a shift in terms of systems from one where in the Enlightenment era it was more divine right to rule and to the system here now, right, with the democracy and everything. So what made him successful, right, was simple traits, like, for example, being able to speak to his troops, right, whenever he's out in the field, whether it's at Toulon or something, and he's able to galvanize them, and in a difficult moment he's able to impart wisdom on them through training them and give them that merit and all the rest, right? So it's most of the things that a lot of people do talk about, right? People do understand, but it's just a little bit of the subtleties that are missing nowadays, the empathy, just to understand exactly what a person wants, right? What a to watch, because that will be successful if you're in the movie industry, for example, or whether you're a football coach and you need to understand what exactly your players need to do, right? Tonight, I don't know, you can be better off. Gives you something else. It gives you an extra sort of flavor, or extra sort of a standing, or like niche, right? That very few other leaders can actually enter, because it's so difficult nowadays, right? Where somebody they don't reach you, right? They don't understand you, but they want you to perform for them. How are you gonna do that? So it's focusing a lot on those historical characters A lot of them who've been maligned, right, who've been criticized over the last few years, but how they're present in every single space, right? Whether it's in politics, whether it's in football, whether it's universal in its appeal. It's as simple as your success will always be guaranteed. In Africa, where I am now, you could be in the United States, you could be in Tokyo, be anywhere, right? And that's what's made, especially having traveled a lot and seen a lot of different types of regions and how they live and how people organize their lives and their cultures. In the end of the day, that's the overarching thing that unites all of us. That fact that with those traits, you always get the success that you want. So yeah, I think it's something that's going to be interesting, and the way I wrote it as well, because I feel that we added a lot of different metaphors that can attract young leaders. It's something that I definitely think will be a successful project and venture in many different fields, especially if you can adapt it into other forms of media and what have you, because it's very highly descriptive, but it can be applied again and again and again. So yeah, I mean, I'm really psyched up for it, man. Like it's been a lot of work, but yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be.
Yeah, and I can even just feel your passion as you're talking about it and explaining essentially why you wrote this book, what you're hoping for it to do for people, for leaders. And I remember even as I was reading through the chapters, I like the different examples that you included. Especially, I'm a huge sports fan, and so when you would include testimony about sports, I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. I understand the application. Yeah, I love it. And the same thing applies for people who are really into history, who are really into like the stock market, finances. It can apply to a variety of people, and it's super cool.
Yeah.
And so I guess with this, what would you say is your vision for you as a writer? How do you kind of see that evolving for you?
Yeah, so I think it's obviously, for me, I believe that once you understand one form of writing, you've mastered all of them, right? But there's a certain linkage, just like certain linkage between each and every one of them, right? So obviously, because of the highly descriptive manner that we're talking about, and because of the highly descriptive manner that of the book that I wrote, right? It's definitely something you can put it in cinema. I mean, for you, I'm sure you know a lot of people that want to adapt work and that are in those fields. So you can put it in screenwriting. There's a lot of different things. So that's essentially what I'm looking to focus on, right? So it's a movement and a step towards that, right? And that's when we'll start to see the vision truly unfolding. But it's for now, we just want to make sure that we can sell as many copies as we can possibly do. And having a New York bestseller, it doesn't hurt, man. Right? It doesn't hurt. So we'll just see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But ultimately, those adaptations are what I would love to do, because it brings in a lot of different people, a lot of different minds, young minds, and we can bounce ideas off each other. Just like what we did here with the reading and everything else. I think that's naturally where it should go, and let's hope that that's where it does.
Okay. Yeah. So, of course, focusing right now on spreading the word, getting it out, and then seeing from there what other projects can come.
Yeah, absolutely. That's most of it. So we'll obviously have to work with a lot of different people. But that's, again, it's all about the traction, right? With the next few months, we've already got people like Thrive Global, which is big in terms of health and well-being in America. We've got so long as the reader enjoys it. I mean, I think that's the truth. Yeah.
Definitely. And then, as you're going through your writing journey, what were some challenges that came up for you that maybe were unexpected?
COVID was the biggest one, right? So I started it off. I wasn't at home. So can you you're getting some maybe money here and there, right? Full time, right? And then you're relying a lot on yourself, right? You still have the support of your parents, your dad. You're in an apartment, and sometimes it's a cold day, and and you're trying to get those chapters out, and then you contract a disease that it attacks everything: your vitals, your mind, your spirit, your body. That was a very difficult part, right? So getting that disease mid writing, and then having to come back home, recalibrate, that was a mad, without having gotten it, right, with the lockdowns and everything else. But when you get that again, it just makes everything a little bit more difficult, right? So, but luckily, you have a good supporting family, friends, and I will make my way out of it. But that was most of the challenge. And 2 postponements, right? Because the way it started off, it had a lot of detail in it, right? So a lot of different types of analogies. It was all over the place, sort of. Right? So I had to trim it down again and again and again. And it made me appreciate just how, the art of writing itself, the art of storytelling itself. Because people think that it's so easy. You just go like this, and immediately you just switch it on and you write the book and you're done.
That's what we see in movies.
It's back and forth.
The book is written, but that's not the process.
And it's a montage, and you're already going. Like, no way. So that one was the most difficult part. That was the most difficult part, because even now, even with some of the scripts that you're giving me, you'll see obviously when the book is published, we edited some of them out, right? After the ones you had read, right? We edited some of the stuff out, and we changed it again. And we changed it again, right? And we changed it again after you had read it. So it's that whole entire process of getting the beta readers coming in and getting everybody to come into the financing. It's a really difficult sort of thing to do, right? So there were multiple challenges, but I think I've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed that whole writing and everything else. And so long as you get through it, it's whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, man. Like, so it's all good. It's all good. So but that's basically it. Not much though, but
yeah. So it sounds like the challenges were really just the process and staying motivated, staying inspired.
It's a long process.
Yeah, dedicated, because it is a process. It really tests you to see, like, okay, how committed are you to this? What are you willing to do to maintain that commitment? And kind of where's that limit in terms of, okay, I need to ask for help, or I need to try something new. That can come up as well.
Absolutely. It was very, very, it was one of those. But for you, what story did you like? Like, just from having read the book already, like, what resonated with you is there something that you would say is, will stick out? Is it the metaphors, the way it's written? What do you think about it?
I think I like the most the metaphors, in terms of, you would talk about the principle, and it's like, okay, I understand, that makes sense. And then when you'd bring forth, like, the stories to kind of showcase how it was helpful, I think that was the most helpful for me, because then it's like, oh yeah, I can see that makes a lot of sense. I think the principle, maybe that resonated with me the most, because maybe it's what I rely on a lot in work or my personal life, whatever it may be. It was like the 3 ladies. So the lady image, perception,
and perception and review.
Yeah. I feel like I've utilized that principle a lot, and so I think that resonated with me the most, because I was like, I can see how this plays a role all the time. I loved all the different stories that you would bring forth. It could also be because I'm a woman, and that's what we have been conditioned to really focus on. And it just made a lot of sense. And it kind of showed me, at least as the reader, the power of kind of this softness, this ability to persuade, get your needs met, and then also have this influence without having to be so aggressive or having to be so brute in tactics. It's also okay to implement that soft power and just say, this is what I expect. Either you do it or you don't. And that decides who who I will lead. Like that's it. There's nothing else. So I think that resonates.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think with percents, it's a lot of so when you look at that part, it's a lot of different types of, because every single time, right, when you're looking at those principles, right, if someone is executed, because sometimes people have an over leaning to it, right? So with image, for example, you can look good, but being good needs you to pay that attention to detail, right? So because only looks can only carry you so far, right? Once you sit in front of somebody in a meeting, you could be wearing $1 million suit, you could be wearing a lot of different things, right? And you just won't be able to resonate with them, right? Because of the fact that you just don't have that sort of attention to detail or understanding of the craft, right? You're not in the healthcare. You're not in the consumer behavior space. You know what I mean? And you don't know what they're doing in terms of mental health and this is now, but you look good, right? You look like somebody that I can trust, but then in the end, you won't be able to retain the client, right? So it lasts, but only when it's in tandem with everything else. And that's why, in essence, with the book, right, I try to make sure that I put each and every one of them, and just to show how they link, right, in terms of our society, where we're going here and where we've come from. So it's generally, I think it's that metaphor would definitely be the best one, and I really like writing that part the most. But I really feel that to have a world that's actually to have a world that's actually real, you know what I mean? You've got to make sure that you can balance it, right? You have some of these guys, fast talking car salesmen, where he can come in and he can talk, and he's very eloquent, and his oratory skills are good. But then, I mean, that trust aspect, right? And we go back to the other stuff where he doesn't respect people. He doesn't have the tolerance behind your back. He's doing something else, right? And then before you know it, he's selling you garbage products on a stock market that won't necessarily give you a good deal, that leaves you as a consumer with the short end of the stick most of the times. And when you have that kind of an issue, right, that's where it becomes dangerous, so to say. So of course it's important, and it's really important, but again, it always has to be in tandem with everything else, right? With the health, it has to be in tandem with merit. It has to be in tandem with all of the other principles of decisive leadership, so that it can last, right? And I know it's not difficult, but once you start getting to those like procedural type of works and stuff, you right, and you get the passion for it and you love it, and then after that, before you know it, everything else it just easily equates. But yeah, I think it's definitely one of those. I just hope people don't overly focus on that one, because everything else might not. You know what I mean? It won't work out the way you want it.
There needs to be that,
but it's
congruence. There needs to be the alignment, the authenticity. In terms of, you can have all of the elements, but essentially what it is we usually do business with people who have some sense of substance, that what they say, they actually do. You can feel their energy, and you can also acknowledge their values, like they resonate with you, even if maybe there's some that are a little off. There's still this consistency, this congruence of, like, this person I like. I want to do business with them, or whatever that may be. We can usually sniff out someone.
Absolutely, and it's so easy.
You can't hold tame that mask for too long. Cool.
Absolutely, you can't. But it's so easy. What up?
Oh no,
you were saying? Yeah. Sorry to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, it's so easy to it's so easy just to get like connected to it. Like, because for me personally, I always used to like oratory a lot, right? like I always used to like people that could talk and messages and maybe Sir Alex Ferguson and what have you. But then when you start to delve deep into it, right, and you listen to some of their players and you get a lot of problems. So because sometimes that whole force and over emphasis on trying to perceived to be good is always something that masks a lot of insecurities, right, under the surface. The person might not be as assured as they might seem. So that's why I'm saying, like, with that whole particular and the principles that focus more on personality and charm and all of that, they need to, like, every time someone needs to take a pinch of salt, right? Because you don't want to have a situation where person charming, and that's where you might even end up, even in your personal life, you end up getting into a really abusive relationship because on the surface it looked very good, right? But then underneath it, and once you take away the facade and the veil is removed, it's not really what it used to. It's not really what it seems. So those are the kind of, when it comes to this art form that I noticed, right? And another one that I think will resonate a lot with people is just initiative, right? Because for young people, we really are scared to just take that next step, right? But that's the very end, just to go in and just say, today I'm gonna do it. I don't care, and I'm just gonna execute. So it's very, very important, and the tactical aspect of it, obviously, I think is what makes the book very special, because we actually have practical examples of how we show it. So it's not too much of a motivational bant and chatter. It's got the substance behind it, like we're already talking about now. So yeah.
Very cool. I have one more question. If you had advice for any aspiring writers or artists, what would that advice be?
Just do it.
Be like
right?
90s,
just
do
execute.
it.
Just do it, right? So if you're gonna write a book, write a book, right? So for example, with this project, now it wasn't necessarily something where I had planned to write a book maybe in 5 years' time, but it wasn't something that I was looking to do immediately, right? So it was just one of those things where a friend of mine had the opportunity, and then I just decided to take it, right? And then execute and keep on working at it. And once you do so, and you practice it every single day, you always be fine, man. That's it. Because most of art is just about what you feel. What I feel is right, what resonates with me, and just selling it and having that ability to sell it and make other people feel the same way about it. That's just basically what art is about. So if you're an artist, it's not finance, you're not dealing with a lot of people's money. Just do it. Just execute. Type, write, sculpt, go play soccer, enjoy it, and you'll see that the results of it will always come in the end. So long as you're enjoying it and you actually learn the nuances of the craft, you'll always be fine. That's all I can say. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. I feel like sometimes we can become so paralyzed with thinking, well, the outcome. Will people like this? Will people make fun of me?
Yeah.
Will this make money? What will people think? That we can become so paralyzed. And with that, it doesn't matter because it's how we feel. It's true to us. So just do it.
Yeah. Just do it. Just do it. Because in the end of the day, you never know. Like the talent, right? Especially when it comes to talent, right? It's usually gonna be it's gonna be so difficult, right? Whether you're rich, whether you get support from individuals, it's gonna be so difficult to execute anyway, right? So what's the point of stopping? I mean, it does to because you don't know. If you don't do it, you always have those insecurities. But then if you do it and you see, then you might, and it works, it's good. If you don't, you've learned something, right? So that's why it's the only way to stop insecurity from truly festering, because they'll always be there, is just to execute and then see where it falls, wherever the cards may lay, whatever happens. That's just it, in my opinion. There's nothing else. Yeah.
It's awesome. Well, if you're joining on the live, all of you you artists need to just do it. Just whatever you're thinking about, just do it.
Yeah.
And where can people find your book?
Yeah, so long as you think about it.
Sorry, say that one more time.
It'll be out in Amazon. It'll be on Amazon. I'm working with New Degree Press. So the first publishing, and then after that, we'll be looking to get some of the books into stores in the United States, South Africa, and the United Kingdom. So right now, it's basically just focusing on finishing off the final part, the editing part. It's already in copy editing. They're doing all the final pieces, the layout and the cover, and then it should be on Amazon in May. I think it'll be at a decent price, maybe 99 cents for about 30 days only, and then we'll go and we'll take it from there. Yeah, only 30 days. Then we'll take it from there. So, yeah, Amazon May.
Okay, so that's very
and I'm sure you will enjoy it. Yeah, very, very soon. 2 more months. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks so much for the help.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Thanks so much for all the help that you've given me over the last few months.
Of course.
It's been really, like with the bakery and everything, it's really important and supporting and everything else. Thanks so much, and for the podcast invite, it's really been nice, man. Thanks so much.
Of course, yeah. And I want to say thank you for joining. I will have you say your name because I do not want to butcher it. Go ahead and say your name so that everyone knows who you are.
Yeah.
And then I'll also post this to my account so that people will be able to tune in to this if they missed it, and also be able to find you on Instagram so that when you start publishing more in terms of the book, marketing, they'll be able to find it as well.
Yes, okay. So She Unesu, that's my friend. It means Emmanuel. Yeah. Kasiamuru and Mutembwa. Right? She Unesu Kasiamuru
It
Mutembwa.
sounds so much better
Right?
than I could
That yeah, it does, but you can call me She Unesu, Emmanuel, if you want to for short. But that's basically it. So if you look me up on LinkedIn, on Instagram, the handle is already there, Master of Rhetoric, and yeah, you always see the account. Yeah, you always. Yeah, thanks so much.
Of course, thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, same to you. Shout out.